welcome to review of a pretty old figure set. This is used for the Henshin line of Kamen Rider Agito, released back in 2001. I can't see a set number on this, but basically this is the monster pack that will go along with the rider figures. It has the die-cast metal body and your Henshin pack. I recently also reviewed 3 of the Hibiki figures, and long before that I also reviewed the Kamen Rider Cougar Rising pack. So this is in the same toy line and should fit with that same scale. This box has got quite a bit of sun damage, but who cares about that? The main important is the figures itself. So yeah, I actually think this is second hand. But it's been kept in a pretty good condition, minus the sun damage, of course. Well, the bottom of the box at least doesn't have too much sun damage. So yeah, the back of the box shows you, hey, you got these 3 figures, and don't forget to buy the Agito and G3 figure so they have someone to fight with. So the packaging is actually still very similar to more modern packaging. You still have the plastic tray here, minus the front cover, and you still have a golden backing card with instruction sheets hidden behind it, which is made out of much thicker material than SS figure arts we get today. Also, if you want to take a closer look at the box art, instruction sheet, as well as photo shoot of the toys, please feel free to head over to the Flickr or Facebook link in the video description below. Single piece of plastic here, right here, that's stopping the arrow and bow from falling out of the tray. Just remove that and everything should, in theory, actually they're clipped in there quite well. So that's pretty cool. So the weapons we have here are all made out of very soft plastic. The paint details aren't that great, but for its time they're decent enough. The mold is pretty good, so if you like to paint certain stuff, you can probably add some details to these and they'll look pretty amazing. There's not really that much plastic runoff or anything, and I'm glad they haven't warped. That would be slightly annoying. You had to use some hot water to straighten them out. So the staff looks pretty good. The bow does have silver painted on it, not too much detail going on, very simple design. And we have a green arrow. Price comparison is, yeah, forget it. They might fit better than the first SS Figure Arts Agito, but that thing's super ugly, so you don't want to get that. I mean, yeah, I guess the Cougar Henshin line was much smaller than the SS Figure Arts, so video, I am still going to do a photo shoot of these guys, and I'm going to see if camera tricks are enough to hide their scale difference compared to the Agito figure. But if that's not the case, I'm definitely going to put these back up on sale and not keep them if they're far too small. So articulation wise, they're not too bad considering their age and the line that they come from. So the head is on a single peg, sort of rotating joint, so you just rotate that all around if you want to, and yep, so that gets the job done. And you can see the giant sort of hinges on there on the arms. You move up, rotate, single elbow joint, and you also got a rotating joint here. And you see there's some metal pegs in there for the joints, and rotating hand, and of course you got the classic 2 sort of hand finger movement going on. Hip rotates, which is more articulation than the new build figures, and the legs are actually on a ball peg. You can pop out. Well, not this one, but one of the other ones can pop up quite easily. All of them have little ball pegs there. That's pretty cool. So yeah, that's nice. And it goes up, and you got a swivel here, single knee joint, and I actually have another rotating joint here. And the feet are also actually pegged in via a ball joint, reverse ball joint. So the ball is actually on the foot that plugs in. So depending on the shape of the lower leg, some figures in this line have more articulation and some have slightly less. So his is pretty good. His cape is made out of softish plastic, just hiding underneath there, and he's got a lot of screw holes on the back, including a butthole. So the Scorpion one, again, he's got some soft rubber plastic there, which doesn't hinder articulation too much, so that's good. His cape piece is also made out of soft plastic, but it's not soft enough. You can see it is pushing against the feet. His mummy-like feet does have some of that ball articulation, so that's good. And again, he's got slightly less screw holes unless you unskirt him. Ooh, upskirt shot. So yeah, he's got that. I haven't really noticed the little wings on the back. Wonder when Agito's gonna get a Blu-ray released, and I'd be able to see more details of the suits. And finally, we've got this big guy here who can actually stand quite well despite the giant shell on the back. And he still has got little wings. I guess they're all like angels or whatever, like angels of death. Like articulation like the other figures, but is slightly hindered due to the tightness of his sort of shin armor. Got a little strap here that's soft plastic. Let's see, he's got these giant hands here, but he still has the hand articulations. That's good. But his hands are slightly different. His hands are in an open position instead of the slightly curved one, so it's going to be a little bit harder for him to hold any items. Let's see, head articulation is the same for him, and yeah. I mean, this shell does cover up some of these screw joints, but you can still see a little butthole there. Considering the age that these were released, almost 20 years ago, these are actually pretty decent figures. In fact, if not for the smaller size, I think that these were perfect companions for the newer SH Figuarts. I don't mind the missing details too much, and considering that these figures are way cheaper than SH Figuarts, they actually would make pretty good supplements for the SH Figuarts line. You just have to have some extra monsters to fight with. I would like that if some of these characters would get SH Figuarts released, but that's a long way away if they ever get a chance. The good news is we do have some SH Figuarts villains on the Kamen Rider line being released now, but mostly in the Showa era. The good news is that we do have villain SH Figuarts these days, but they're either focused on the latest series, or they've only just started with Kamen Rider Ichigo and the Showa line, so it'll be a long while before we get any Kuga or Agito villains. The overall articulation is pretty decent on this figure. The molding has a lot of details in it, especially on the sort of logos on their belt buckles and stuff. And the paint job is also pretty decent. It doesn't have like weathering effects or fur like color gradients and whatnot, but the overall paint job has stopped these figures from looking very plasticky. For the most part, they have a matte-ish finish, which looks really nice. And there is a little bit of dirt effect on the mummy Cobra character, especially on his feet, so they're actually pretty good. For its time, these are excellent figures. The alternative to getting these figures is to make them yourself, and how would you do that? The alternative would be to find and track down the Rider Hero series scale soft vinyl figures of these characters, which there are a few of them, but the problem with that is that those figures are slightly bigger than SH Figuarts, which can be annoying as well. But what people do is they'll pick up a single colored SH Figuarts, so maybe Body-kun or Body-chan, the black ones, get those figures and then get a knife and scissors to cut out the big soft vinyl figures of the monsters, and then put their parts onto the plain SH Figuarts body. Some of those SH Figuarts bodies can be quite cheap, but tracking down one of those soft vinyl figures can be a bit of a problem, and while the molding on those soft vinyl figures are decent enough, they will have slightly less painted details. But of course the plus side with doing it that way is that you get more articulation, and due to cutting down the plastic, cutting it to the right size, you can have something that's closer to the scale of SH Figuarts, minus any accessories of course. So overall, if you want to pick up some old villains for Kamen Rider Agito, these ones are okay, but you're gonna have to do some camera tricks to get them in the right position and the right size. The alternative does require a little bit of basic cutting and crafting skill, but it's not too hard. And overall, I'll probably recommend that if you don't mind spending a little bit of time, spending a little bit of effort to track down the soft vinyl figures, I would recommend doing that instead, and you have something that's much closer to the SH Figuarts scale, and also have a bit more articulation. Now of course, cutting the plastic does mean that there will be some thick plastic rings around the SH Figuarts body, but if you cut it just right, you should be able to hide those joints, especially around the areas where these figures would have some sort of sleeves and skirts and pants going on. So that shouldn't be too bad. Subscribe, suggest, and comment below, and of course take care and have a nice day. I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye now.
you.